A few weeks ago, I had to drive to Queens to pick up my new kitten, Robert. I had parked a couple of blocks down from my apartment near Third Avenue, and as I got up to my truck, I saw some paper under the windshield wiper. I thought it was a ticket for a second, but when I actually looked at the paper, it was a report from the New York City Transit Corporation stating that a bus had hit my vehicle. It gave me the time and date of the occurrence, as well as the bus number and license plate. So I had to hand all that over to my insurance company, and my truck is still in the shop. The bus did only topical damage, basically crumpling the front left fender. It was still drivable, thankfully, so I was still able to get to Queens to adopt Robert. I don't know how I'd get by without that dirtbag cat. I actually need a cat way more than I need a pickup truck in New York City. The truck was a delight to have in Hudson Valley, great for taking garbage to the dump, carrying lumber for backyard projects, hauling topsoil every spring for gardening, but upstate, I had my own driveway. I didn't need to make way for city buses and people. Now that I'm in New York, I don't really need a car, but I would still like to have a car for, bigger grocery runs, road trips, and just generally getting out of town whenever. So I'm in the market for a new vehicle, something way smaller, less elaborate than a Ford F-150, something more along the lines of a Honda CR-V, a Chevy Trailblazer, Ford Escape. Ooh, a Subaru Crosstrek looks really cute. Mazda CX-50, something like that. A small SUV that's easy to park and will be less likely to get sideswiped by the B65. I don't think it'll cost too much because I have the trade-in and I'm downsizing, but still, part of me really wants a fancy fucking car. I see Mustangs and BMWs and Mercedes Benzes all the time around here, and holy shit, they're so nice. I don't need them, but I'm such a sucker for a cool car. Watching John Carpenter's Christine, I fully understand Arnie's impulse on seeing that 1958 Plymouth Fury for the first time. The dream of a classic car, the joy of dressing yourself in chrome, steel, and a glossy cherry tricoat. Magic. Cars really are extensions of ourselves. When I found the damage to my pickup truck that the MTA left on its fender, I felt sad, angry, hurt. The entire drive to Astoria, I could feel that as a wound on me. I love that truck, and it broke my heart to see it injured like that. Hopefully, it heals itself through an insurance claim and a body shop in Gowanus rather than supernatural rage, though. I'll be sad to trade away my Ford. I named her Molly Ivans, but I think it's time to downsize. I hope Molly forgives me. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Okay, so money and garage space are no object, and you get to keep your current car for all the practical shit, but you get one more car, any car. Like, what kind of car do you want?
I would have to go back to my very first car
Mm-hmm.
and do it right, which was a 1966 Ford Mustang.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was the best. Me and my dad found it. It was a used car, and we, over the course of like a few years, fixed it up,
Mm-hmm.
like completely re-kitted that thing out. And it was so, like, I really love driving a classic car.
Mm-hmm.
Like to this day, I'm like, I almost never turn on the air conditioner in my car. I'm like all windows down because of that first car. It
Yeah.
was because AC wasn't a thing. I don't know. There was just something about it that was so delightfully mechanical as opposed to electric.
Yeah.
Like if something,
Non-computer run.
yes,
Yeah.
like you could go to the library and get a book. And if something was leaking or you wanted to fix something or take something apart or trick something out, you would literally get a book. And if you had the right tools and, the space, you could look at a book and figure
Uh-huh.
out how to do it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you need like a box to like, plug in and, tell the car's electronics to do all the things. It was so simple and it was so, I don't know, there was something that made sense about it.
Yeah.
It was really great. I
I
would
thought about that.
absolutely go back and get that one again.
Yeah, I thought about that watching this movie of like the old days of the fully analog car, the fully mechanical car.
Yeah.
And I listen, I would never want I don't want to go back to not having keyless entry. I love
Oh,
that
yeah.
so much. I love a cruise control, an adaptive cruise control, even more magical.
Ooh.
The backup camera for New York City.
Listen, I mean, I don't know what, I mean, I know what I would do without my backup camera, but man, the backup camera does make all the difference in the world, doesn't it?
It really does. But I was drooling staring at Buddy Ripperton or whatever his name is, his like 68, I don't know the year, but his Camaro that he drives,
Oh
that
yeah. A
that
bitchin' Camaro.
God, it's
Get that
such a
bitchin'
bitchin' Camaro.
Camaro.
Fuck, it's so nice. Uh yeah, I would want that if I could just not ever worry about money or garage space, because that is
Yeah.
the type of car I want to take to a friend's house, or I want to
Yeah.
take to a show, or I want to take on like a short
Or
road
just
trip.
go driving. Just
Yeah,
go
just go
like it.
driving.
It's the thing about like cars nowadays are so well, they're much safer. Let's be honest here. They're
Uh-huh.
way safer. And they sort of cater to the whims of the driver. But there was something so stylish about 20th century cars.
Yeah. I think that's the appeal of something like Mad Max, where I'm just like, oh my God, just a huge muscle car with a Hemi driving in like open desert. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's talk about Christine, the John Carpenter
Christine.
film.
Not
I have
not
never seen
Christine from
this.
Phantom of the Opera.
Nope, and nope, and I've never seen this movie. I have read the book. It is near the bottom of my favorite Stephen King books.
Yeah.
I just what I remember about it was it being very, very slow. There's just a lot of it's like two-thirds in before anything horror happens in that
I
book.
imagine there's a lot of car talk in the book.
There's a lot of just greasers being assholes for a while.
Yeah.
This in
Yeah.
this movie too, but there's also just a lot about Arnie's family and
Mhm.
relationships, and it's okay, but there's I think 100 minutes, which I think is the length of this movie, is
Sure.
like 100, 110. It's that's about the capacity I have for like over the top greasers and controlling parents and dipshit
Yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah.
This one kind of cuts right to the heart of the story of the book. I almost thought about in my intro doing a thing about books that are better than the I'm sorry, movies that are better than the books. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
Jaws and Godfather are the two that people bring up right away. Wherein
Sure.
like the books were just kind of like trashy pulp novels, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
made
yeah.
these brilliant films. I would put Christine in that category too. I think this is such peak John Carpenter, so let's get
Oh yeah.
into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We start with the song Bad to the Bone
Yes.
playing over the sound of car revving engines, title card credits, and then we go to the Plymouth factory in Detroit, 1957, and a lineup of Plymouths being going down the assembly line, workers working on it. And in all of the beiges and tan cars,
Hmm.
there's one cherry red Plymouth Fury.
Only one.
Mm-hmm.
The star shot.
It is
I
the star shot.
I love it. It's also this movie does something really great with the soundtrack in that it's like that first line of Bad to the Bone is like on the day I was born. So already
Mm-hmm.
we're thinking about this car rolling off the assembly line being born.
Yeah.
On the day I was born, I was bad to the bones. We're like, okay, not only is this car is bad, we know it's going to be bad, bad car,
Uh-huh.
but we also are already starting to anthropomorphize this car.
Yeah.
It's not assembled, it's born.
The ways in which this movie uses music
I
to
love
give
it.
the voice of the car,
Yes.
I think that could be so corny, but it's so funny and so creepy at the same time. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. I think the corny end is what was the Autobot that only could communicate through music or through radio?
Oh shit.
You
This
know
is
what I'm saying?
I don't remember my Transformers very well. Is it Bumblebee? Is that the
Yeah,
deal,
I
or does
think
Bumblebee
so.
actually
Yeah.
talk? I don't know.
Yeah. But this is like one, Christine has a voice and
Hmm.
it's always 1950s. And one of the character even says, like, your car radio only picks up 1950s rock and roll, and it's creeping me out.
Yep.
And they did such an amazing job of finding these, like sort of at the hop era of rock and roll music
Yeah.
that is so kind of buoyant and bubblegum and, kind of cookie cutter, but taken out of context does seem kind of soulless and maniacal.
Uh-huh. And and to speak to like movie adaptations from an author's work, I mean, Carpenter really gets Stephen King, right? Like, I mean, obviously you're
Yeah.
going to pick up the greaser characters,
Yep.
the controlling parent characters
Yep.
sort of thing, but The other thing about Stephen King, in all of his novels, at least all of his stuff, like in the first 30 years of his career, I haven't read many of his new books, but he loves giving you a playlist. He loves
Oh, yeah,
packing
I guess
every
that's true.
novel
Yeah,
with
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
bunch of songs he loves that kind of set the mood. He'll always tell you what song's on the radio. He'll
Yep.
always have a character think about a lyric to a song, whatever. It
Like
could be.
the songs are oftentimes he'll put them in the like the introduction or
Hmm.
the, like they'll have like a lyrics from a song at the
Hmm.
beginning of uh chapters or books or things like that.
Stephen King loves Americana music, whether
Oh
that's
yeah.
folk or rock and roll. That's kind of where he goes to. So this movie gets that, and I love it. But we see a worker crouched down inspecting this car. Its hood is open. He's got his hand up on the grill and he's bending down. And the next thing we know, that hood is just like, fuck your hand, slam.
Just chomps his hand.
Mm.
Uh-oh, Christine.
Oh. Then another worker who's smoking a cigar in the factory. This is the height of, or the nadir of
Yeah.
American car manufacturing.
Oh yes.
At
Yeah,
least for when this movie was made in the early 80s. But it's I think the 50s were probably the heyday of great manufacturing for
sure.
American cars. But this is reflective of the 70s and early 80s, wherein the auto workers were not looked at as good at their jobs. And this other
Hmm.
guy is just fucking smoking a cigar while he goes to sit in the inside Christine.
Yeah.
And he ashes on the seat of a new car in his factory.
Oh my God. And Christine is not happy.
No. At closing time, the foreman is shutting down, everyone's leaving, and then he hears just doo-wop music start up on the on Christine's radio, and he goes over there and opens the door, and the cigar guy's body just falls right on out.
And we're not really sure how he dies or what
No,
Christine. I was like, maybe she sucked all the oxygen out of the car. I don't know.
she
Who
does have a
knows?
penchant for making people choke to death. There's two other
Yeah,
people that she
yeah.
goes that direction with.
But like everything else we see Christine do is very practical. This guy's death is just like a mystery,
Yeah,
which I kind of like it. It's like, listen, we know something happened in that car that was very, very bad.
yes. So we got to this movie because we had the odd role of scare is planes, trains, and automobiles, and
Okay, check.
check. And the style was a period piece, a movie
Right.
made, a movie about a time period that was not when it was made. And so obviously we stretched a little bit because just the preamble, the prologue to this film takes place in the 50s, but this is a
Sure. It's like 5 minutes.
1983 film.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we are like, well, there's not a whole lot to choose from, so we got to hit Christine. It's a staple of 80s horror.
Yeah.
However, I had Victory Hand shoot straight up when it gives us the timestamp for present day. It was Rockbridge, California, September 1978. This is a period piece because
Oh,
this
there
is a
you go.
1983 movie.
See, I was doing victory hands because for me, even though this movie is not, sort of like we sort of shoehorned it into period piece, it really like in the way that the characters dress,
Yeah.
obviously the classic cars, it's sort of the mentality. It has more in common with like The Outsiders
Hmm.
than it does with movies being made at the time. So it feels like the 50s, even though it takes place in the 70s.
Yeah, especially like the kind of two distinct archetypes that
Hmm.
Arnie takes because he starts as bumbling nerd with
Yeah.
taped glasses, which is
Oh,
such like
yeah.
a 50s high school trope, 50s movie
Yeah.
high school trope. And then as he becomes
James
worse and
Dean.
worse, he becomes, yeah, greaser. He starts like pomading his hair. Pomade?
Yeah.
Pomade.
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 Pomade. Pomading.
Pomade.
Hand me
Um,
my pomade, mother. I'm ready for a night out at the sock hop. But if no, it's so true. Like I mean, as this character goes through this maniacal journey, he becomes so much more confident in himself and evil.
mhm.
Um, both of not two are not mutually exclusive, but his style of dress is so 1950s.
Yeah.
Like he's even wearing like a James Dean Rebel Without a Cause jacket at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. The full out like popped collared jacket with the greased hair
Yep.
back and all of that. Yeah.
And and the other side is Dennis, who is, sort of the Kevin Bacon stand-in in this movie.
Yeah.
Like he's in his Letterman jacket the entire time, which also feel, and I know that's a thing to this very day, but it still feels 1950s. It still feels like Grease.
Yeah. This movie starts with such a kind of a lovely premise around these two boys' relationship because what you have is you have Arnie the nerd
Yeah.
and you have Dennis the star football. He's the starting quarterback.
Yep.
He's the cute
Yep.
boy. He looks just like young Tom Brady. Like when you see
Yeah.
photos
Oh,
of
I guess
like
that's
Tom
true. Yeah.
Brady on
Yeah.
draft day, I'm
That
like,
is true.
this man looks just like 1999 Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Um, he yeah, this dynamic between these two is really actually nice because
Yeah.
it's very boy. It's
Yes.
Dennis telling Arnie as Arnie's like talking about trying to play the word fellatio in Scrabble game with his parents last night. Um, and Dennis is like, Arnie, it's our start of our senior year. We got to get you laid, man. Like, what about this one girl? And he's like, oh, she's ugly. Or but what about this one girl? And he's like, oh, she's the slutty one, or whatever. Like, I'm not telling you this is like beautiful feminism. I'm just telling you that
No.
the dynamic between these two boys is really interesting.
Yeah. Like you get the feeling that they've been friends since they were kids. They grew
Totally.
up around the block. Even the way that like Dennis is sort of treated by Arnie's mom is like, oh, his best friend that I sort of put up with his
Yeah.
noise pollution car.
Yes. Yeah, she
But
tells Dennis that
yeah,
rock and roll is noise pollution.
absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But it's you really do have to set up in the beginning like these two have a bond, a friendship bond that in order for Christine to wedge in herself into their relationship, there has to be a relationship. And I think, sort of man boy relationship, sort of like heteronormative man relationship is solid here.
Uh-huh.
Like we get that Dennis is going to go to bat for his friend, and we literally see that in the basement of the auto shop.
We have I'm going to get to that auto shop, the shop class in a second, but I want to mention that there are three women in this film.
Hmm.
Um, we'll tell you their names, but honestly, you just need to know there's the angel, there's the devil, and there's the slut. So we have the
Yeah.
angel, Lee, the love
Uh-huh.
interest.
Yeah.
We have the devil, Mom, Regina, I
Yeah.
forget her name,
Regina. Yeah,
and
I think so.
and and then the slut, who's Roseanne, who's Kelly Preston, who, by all accounts, by my eyeball test, is not a slut. She just seems like a nice
She's a
girl who
really nice girl. She just
it's
has a crush on the football guy.
and it's one of those things wherein it made me flash back to like how horrible high school is,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
for girls,
Yeah.
because like you probably sleep with one boy when you're 16 and then suddenly it's like, oh, she'll let anyone in.
You have a
And so I made me
reputation. Yeah.
yeah, it made me wonder like why Roseanne has this uh has this reputation, and the way Dennis kind of ignores her makes me so crazy because this girl is played by Kelly Preston,
I
for
know,
Christ's
right?
sake.
Yeah.
Like the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I was actually having a similar thought, but it was more on like when Dennis is hitting on Lee in the library, and I was like, this girl is literally just trying to study her history,
Yeah.
and this dude is like, hey, do you like uh dancing? Do you like music? Yeah, history sucks. Do you want to listen to some music? I was like, oh my God, this girl is like trying to get into a good school. She's actually like doing oof, oof.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, I always think a good way to endear yourself if you're a man and you're hitting on a woman, a good way to endear yourself is comment on whatever she's doing by telling her it sucks.
Yes, that's great. Yes.
Okay, so Arnie is taking shop class,
Yeah.
which to the chagrin of his parents, because one of the dynamics between Arnie and his parents,
Ooh.
even before he turns bad or tough,
Yeah.
is they're very controlling. They're very,
Yes.
very controlling about his time, what he does. He has to get into college, he has to whatever. And he's just at this age where he's starting to realize, even before Christine shows up, that he has some power here. And
Autonomy.
and he goes out of his way to take shop class because it's a form of rebellion against his
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it wouldn't be a Stephen King novel if there wasn't some sort of class divide in the
uh-huh.
American system. And he makes a comment that he's like, "Oh, my parents look down on me taking shop," as if like, it's
Yeah.
like for, like lesser blue collar kind of American folk that we are not. We're actively striving toward middle class here,
And I absolutely grew up with that too, of that notion of like you do not want a blue collar job.
right?
And I'm like, I don't know, like point guard in the NBA is a blue collar job. You wear a uniform, you're part of a union, so that'd be kind of cool.
Well, I mean, I think Dennis has the perfect retort. He's like, your parents are going to love it when you like fix their Volvo up for free.
Yeah. Dennis a good dude. A little
For the,
a
yeah.
little teen boy-ish. Like I'm not
Yeah. I
saying like
mean, yeah.
but
Listen, for the feminist read and the LGBTQ read, this movie is not the kindest.
no.
But
No.
then again, it was the 80s.
I have so much to love about this movie, but you should know that this is an extraordinarily heteronormative male movie. This is
Oh yeah.
about hetero boys through and
I
through, and
mean,
the women are there
it's
to
about
support them.
and the cars that are extension of their egos.
Yeah, when I said the three female archetypes in this, like I just left Christine off. Christine is the devil, really.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, but
First day of school.
first day of school, Arnie it doesn't show up for lunch, and Dennis goes to look for him and finds him cornered in the shop room by Buddy Ripperton, I believe. I can't let me
Oh
just make sure
my.
I have this fucking name down. His
Oh, buddy.
um yeah,
But
Buddy
Buddy
Repperton.
was like a 6-year senior.
Yes.
Dude,
This
he
was
is like 24 years old.
he okay, so if Dennis is the Kevin Bacon stand-in,
Mhm.
this guy is the John Travolta stand-in.
Oh, absolutely. Like I mean, he's clearly John Travolta from Carrie.
Yes. 100%. So Buddy Repperton and his little gang of friends, the only other guy's name I remember is Moochie, who's kind of the
I know,
bigger
right?
kid with the curly hair.
Come on, his name is Moochie.
Moochie, the most Stephen King greaser name
Oh
of
my
all
God,
time.
yes.
So Buddy's got him cornered and he's stolen his lunch.
Oh
Dennis
no.
shows up to try and, tell him to fucking knock it off. Buddy
Yeah.
draws a switchblade and just
Ooh.
stabs Arnie's lunch, which apparently was just Gogurt,
It was
was all that was
all
in that.
yogurt.
Yep.
I mean, which mom does have, she's like, try to keep this refrigerated. You've got yogurt today. But when Buddy stabs that lunch, it is like a sack full of yogurt,
Uh-huh.
which is also the name of my new indie shoegaze band.
Okay. Dennis and Dennis starts a fight with Buddy. They fight back. They, in the process, crush Arnie's glasses. Um, but eventually Mr. Casey, the shop teacher, shows up. And Dennis is like, Buddy has a fucking knife.
Yeah.
And Mr. Casey is like, empty your pockets, man, or I'm gonna call the cops. And he does, and he's got a switchblade, and Mr. Casey's like, go to the office, young man.
You have been expelled.
Which is not going to make any of this violence stop.
No.
The the shocking amount of aggressive violence of greaser kids in these old movies is through the roof.
I mean, not just the greaser kids. I mean, it's just the high school hierarchy in general.
Amazing to me. Just
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so on the ride home from school, this first day of school, Arnie from the passenger seat of Dennis's car sees just a ragged ass red Plymouth Fury for sale on an unkempt lawn next to a lean-to house.
Oof. I love this that like Arnie sees it before we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm.
like they're just sort of driving along and he's like, stop, 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 stop. Go back, go back, go back, go back, back. And we don't see what he sees for a minute. But when we do, this car is busted.
Hmm.
It is like there's holes punched in the side of it. It's real ragged.
The entire paint on it is
Oh
just
yeah.
ashy and faded and just
Yeah.
gross, and it's windows busted out, missing a hood and a door.
Yeah.
And they go look at it. And they look at the Dennis looks at the odometer and he's like, forget it, Arnie. This baby's got 93,000 miles on it, which that's another thing about new cars versus old. Like new cars now, like I don't feel like $100,000 or 100,000 miles is quite the dangerous milestone
Yes.
that it
Yes.
used to be. If your car doesn't make it to 100,000 miles these days in a new car, it feels like you probably got a lemon of some sort.
Yeah. 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 Or you weren't taking care of it.
Yeah. Thank you to the Japanese automotive industry for
Ah, yes.
changing
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. And they meet George LeBay, crazy old man.
Oh, George the Bay. What is he wearing, Jeffrey?
I was trying to figure that out myself. I was like, is that a girdle? No, it's not a girdle. Is that
It
a.
looks like a girdle. It's
It does kind of. I thought maybe it was some type of like tech vest sort of thing for. Like for a second, I was like, photographers wear these really elaborate vests. So do soldiers. So
oh,
do
really?
like, I don't
I
know.
was
I
like
couldn't tell.
I was like maybe it's like some sort of like back brace,
Yeah.
but it's got like straps hanging off of it. Well, listen, it is a fashion choice.
Yeah. It is a fashion
And
choice.
honestly, it's I don't know, it kind of predates sort of Madonna's Vogue a little bit if it
Yeah.
wasn't being worn by like the smelliest, craziest old man who lives in a shack outside of town.
LeBay tells them that the car's name is Christine. Um,
Sure.
he- you know, uh, Arnie's like, he says, I'll give it to you for 250. And Arnie's like, done. And Dennis
Yeah.
is like, wait a minute, how about like 200? But
Yeah.
aren't and George is like, whatever. I don't, whatever
Mm.
price.
Yeah. Don't
And
really care.
Arnie's already written the check. No, it's worth 250. I'll give it. I saved up. I want this so bad. Like he's not in the mood to negotiate. He just wants the fucking car. But we also learned that it belonged to George's brother who died 6 weeks ago.
Hmm.
It does not tell them he died in that car,
Nope.
nor that his daughter or granddaughter, I can't,
His daughter,
his daughter
his daughter
had ch-
strangled to choked to
choked to
death
death in that
in the
car.
car. And then his wife also killed herself in the car.
Uh-huh.
And they sort of took the car away, but it came back,
Yeah.
which is like such a Stephen King phrase.
Uh-huh.
The car came back,
Uh-huh.
the cat came back. So many things come back in Stephen King. But and I love the look. This is a later scene, but you know when Dennis is getting the real truth about what the fuck is up with this car, when he's like, yeah, they took the car away, but the car came back 3 weeks later. And he's like, what do you mean the car came back? And this man just shoots him a look like, I said what I said.
Yep.
I love it. I mean, like this role is like perfectly Stephen King and perfectly played by this actor.
Yeah.
In that
Uh,
it's like he's not crazy, he's a recluse.
yeah.
And so you don't doubt what he's saying, but you know that this man has seen some terrible shit in his life. He has lived at like the bottom of the social ladder, and nobody gives a fuck what he has to say about anything.
Yeah. This is a guy named Robert Blossom. Roberts Blossom, I think is how he's listed. But he is a veteran of like 1950s and 60s East Village off Broadway and off
Hell
Broadway theater.
yeah.
So that's where this guy was doing poetry at the Bowery Poetry Club. He was doing shows at Cherry Lane, all this kind of shit, and then got into film in like the late 60s.
Make
And
your mark at St. Mark's.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure he has done a play at the Crane Theater at some point in his
Maybe.
lifetime. Yeah, he's fantastic. He also when they leave, Dennis tells Arnie, like, are you sure, dude? Like, For $250, you could get a decent car.
Yeah.
And this is where is he's under the spell right away. The
Yeah.
moment he saw the car enraptured him. And he says, "This is a decent car. You don't know half as much as you think you do, you know." Um, shithead. No, shitter. That's what they call it. That's
Oh
the word for
God.
everyone.
Oh
Shitter.
yes. That's Stephen King. It's like find this one. It's like, yeah, this is it. This is the word.
Yep.
I mean, Arnie has sees potential.
Yeah.
And which makes sense because I think Arnie even says like later that day, he's like, I know who I am. Like
Uh-huh.
I know I'm not the attractive guy, but like he sees potential in the car in the same way he sees potential in himself and is
Hmm.
like, well, everything is, you're the kind of blonde haired football playing, you probably make good enough grades that you get by, you're super friendly with everybody, like you're kind of on the like the printed model of popular social guy.
Yeah.
But Arnie is not. That doesn't mean that he can't, with like a little bit of hard work and study and you know introspection and maybe a little bit of getting away from parents and looking in deep within his own soul, turn into something amazing. But it's that idea of like investing in potential,
Yeah.
which I think is really interesting, that he makes this connection with this car that is so ragged.
Yeah. And he's coming out of, or, like he's coming into his own life, his own
Yeah,
adulthood. Like soon he's going to go to college and live on his own and be his own person. And he's coming from a family that has never allowed him to do that. So there's got to
yeah,
be a lot of fear and trepidation and excitement around that. And so seeing a car that looks on the outside like he probably feels on the inside,
yeah,
and you think,
yeah,
"Well, just if I could learn to love myself, I could make myself the person I want to be, a person I
yeah,
could really love. If I can start to love myself, I can eventually truly love myself." But a lot of problems with the human brain is that it's like it doesn't understand how to do that, but it knows
yeah,
how to fix a car.
yeah.
It knows how to like decorate an apartment. It knows how to
Hmm.
dress real nice. Um, and you get yourself like caught up in some external pursuit. Mom and dad are not into this fucking car. And
What this to me doesn't. This is the like sticking point of this movie.
mhm,
This is the sticking point of this movie is, what are these parents like? The kid's got to have a car, right?
yeah.
Like the kid's got to be able to. I mean, like he has his friend drive him to school. Is it like, what is the parents' huge, like they are so anti this car? Is it because they want to like control every aspect of him? Is it because it's a classic car? Is it because it's a junker? Like, what is it that this mom, while she chain smokes Virginia Slim ultra light 100s in her
Uh,
kitchen, what is it about the parents that are like, no, absolutely not?
I think it's two things. I think one, in the logic of the story itself, in the lore of Christine. Christine casts like Christine gives off an aura that makes people either
Yes,
it makes one
absolutely.
person fall truly in love with it and it
Yeah,
makes
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everyone else fear and loathe it. So that's
Yes.
part of the magic of Christine. And then two, I think from just a practical, just family drama, real world sort of thing, I think it's what you said. I think it's control. They have like there's like a way to do things as a family. There's a way to make
Yeah,
your
yeah,
house
yeah, yeah.
look. And just like Arnie, they're obsessed with building from the outside in. Like they
Hmm,
have
hmm.
a model, pristine suburban home. And
Yeah.
so the idea of him parking a junker in front of their house, and even
Okay.
when he does get it fixed and it looks beautiful, but it's gaudy. Like you've shined up this
Yeah, yeah,
gaudy,
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
old car. Like maybe it's the gaudiness of the car, or maybe it's the oldness of the car. Like you said, like a
Mm.
20-year-old car sitting on our lawn. We can afford a new car, Arnie.
Yeah.
Like we can't be
Like new
having
is
old
good.
cars. Yeah.
Yeah, new is always good.
Because they do offer later in the film, like, we just want to buy you, we'll help you get a
Yeah.
car.
But we just want you to drive a car that doesn't call attention to yourself, that
Uh-huh.
fits in with the neighborhood,
Yeah.
that we can all just sort of blend in and same, the fuck out of suburbia.
And he, of course, is not having any of this. He yells at them and he's like, I always get voted down in this house because it's always a 2-to-1 vote. I have
Oof,
no
that
real say. That's so good.
like I don't know if that's from the book or but like that line alone makes me understand this family dynamic.
Yeah.
Like that completely, I understand this family dynamic as soon as
Mhm.
he says that. This is also the first scene once he gets Christine, the first time he drops the F bomb in front of his
Yeah.
parents. And it's
Wait,
and it's kind of like as he's walking, he was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. What'd you say? I mean, nothing. But it is very noticeable that like as soon as that car comes into his life, he
mhm.
starts pushing boundaries.
Yeah. So Arnie takes Christine to Darnell's do-it-yourself auto garage. Had no idea that a place like this existed. Does it? Is this just made up
Sure, why
for
not?
the
I don't know.
story? I don't know, but it's the idea that it's an auto garage that you can buy a bay there and then keep
Work
your
in your
car
car.
there
Yeah.
and come in whenever you want and do your own work, which seems like it had to have existed or still
Yeah.
exists somewhere. It's such a good idea for
And it's
people
also
who
like
are
part
working on
junk
things.
shop. There's like a sort of, junk shop out back.
Yeah. And we meet Darnell, who is
Oh my
the,
God, the
the
most Stephen King character ever.
the most like just grumpy old man.
Yep.
Like, I don't want you punk kids. Don't get smart with me. Shut your pie hole. I know a creep when I see one. Like that sort of bit.
Yeah. You can't polish a turd.
So we jump forward a month. We're in October now. Um, Darnell, hold on just a second here. Oh, Darnell is looking at Christine and it's coming along. Like Christine is starting
Yeah.
to look better.
Yeah.
But again, with the working from the outside in, he makes a comment that he's like, this is when he says you can't polish a turd, and he tells his coworker, saying, like, he replaced the windshield wipers, but that windshield is still cracked.
Yeah.
He replaced the hood, shined it up, but he hadn't fixed the engine yet.
Yeah. Like he's digging for hubcaps, but the tires are like falling. But yeah,
Yeah.
like he's like, what a weird way to work.
Uh-huh.
But he's got good
Darnell,
hands. That kid's got good hands.
yeah.
Rock.
Yeah, he's very impressed with the work, though, that he's done. He's not sure about the order of operations of
Hmm.
what work you start with, but shit, this kid can put together a car.
Yeah.
And we see Arnie there at the garage that day, and he's already got his hair greased. He doesn't wear glasses anymore.
Oh yeah.
Starting to look a little bit more nerdy, handsome, whatever.
Yeah.
Darnell says, listen, you're raiding my junk pile a lot more than I intended. But
Hmm.
listen, I make you a deal like you do a little work around here, change an oil, do a thing, run an errand. You can raid my junk pile for whatever you want, and I might even throw a few bucks for pay.
Wow. Okay.
He says, let me think about it. And he's like, well, don't think about it too long or I'll throw you out on your fucking ass. So good.
Oh.
Dennis. Okay, so now the new girl, Lee, has shown up to the high
Oh my
school.
God.
The most beautiful girl. So the brunette girl next door look
Yeah.
compared to Kelly Preston's blonde cheerleader
Yes.
type. Dennis gets up the nerve to go talk to her in the library. You like dancing? History's dumb, blah, blah, blah. But he asks her out for after the game on Friday, and she says, I'm sorry, I can't. I have a date.
Shock. Awe.
Okay. So Dennis and Arnie's relationship is starting to get a little bit weird because Dennis goes to pick up Arnie. They're supposed to have a movie night. They're going to go
Yeah.
see a picture. And Arnie's coming out being like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. I should have called you. I can't make
No,
it
he never
tonight.
actually says I'm sorry.
No, he doesn't.
That's
You're
the
right.
thing. It's very blatant. Like I was going to call you, but I didn't. You're like, oh, okay, all right. Well, good to see you too, man.
But he's got to go run errands for Darnell. Um Also, mom, Regina, tells after Arnie leaves, Dennis is still there, and Regina says, when we had to go sign the title for that car, and as his parents, we had to sign it. But
Yeah.
we learned in that process that the man who owned that car died of carbon monoxide poisoning inside the car.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis goes to confront George LeBay about his brother, and he's like, Arnie wouldn't have bought that car if he knew someone died in it or killed themselves in it. And
I
George is
think he
like,
would.
yeah, you don't know your friend too well.
Yeah. He's got Christine fever.
Hmm. This is where we learn that his brother's wife killed herself in the same way. That he also says the only thing my brother ever loved was that car. And then this is when he's like talking about the car. They got rid of it and it came back 3 weeks later. He's like, "What do you mean? You fucking
Car
know."
came back.
Um, Dennis sneaks into Darnell's shop late at night to look at Christine, and when he pops his head into the driver's side, he looks at the dashboard, and we see that it only has 88,000 miles on it now.
Oh. So just like a little love, a little work, and the car's reversing in age.
Yeah, it's getting
If only that
younger
were
and
how it worked
younger.
for all of us.
Oh, for real. He tries to open the door, but then the radio kicks on and starts playing You Keep on Knocking, But You Can't Come In by Little Richard.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, good.
And
And
it's and it's like so far this is like the you know with the exception of the beginning, this is the only like supernatural thing we've hit so
hmm
far. And
hmm
it's just uncanny enough that it kind of scares Dennis away, but it's just like a perfect little breadcrumb. Just like, oh, something is kind of weird with this car, but it's completely explained. Oh, car's short. I don't know. Radios get bumped.
hmm
Doors don't work sometimes.
It
Quirky.
also, yeah, and it's the first moment that it lets us know, the audience, that yeah, this is the way the car will communicate. This is how it will speak to you, is through oldies on the radio.
And also, that car is monogamous.
Uh-huh. Yes, you're right. I've only got room for one boy in my life.
That's right.
So now it's Friday night. Friday night, like
Game
this game
day.
is happening in the afternoon. I'm from Texas, so I'm not used to watching a high school football game with no stands and
Yeah.
like only like 100 people watching it. So I was like, is this practice? No, they're playing another team.
Oh, this is the
Indeed.
game.
Oh, this must be in Maine. But Dennis is the Dennis is the running back. Not, I said
Yeah.
earlier quarterback. He's the running back for this
Yeah.
football team.
He's the
And
I'm going to catch the ball guy,
yeah,
not
I'm
the
gonna
I'm
run
going to
the
throw the
ball, I'm gonna
ball
catch
guy.
the ball. Yeah, not I'm gonna throw the ball guy. And so they're out running a play, and he sees Christine, all shiny, sparkly, brand new looking, pull up. And who gets out of the car but Arnie and his date, Lee, the most beautiful girl in the
Ooh.
world. In the school, at least.
The school.
Yeah. I'll give her Maine. She's very pretty.
She's
Uh
great.
yeah. So Dennis is out running a deep route. Ball is in the air, and he is so distracted by seeing Arnie lean in to kiss Lee on the hood of his car that as he's trying to catch the ball while staring at them, he gets just blindsided and
Yeah.
fucking breaks his
Like
body.
breaks his back.
Yeah. Like they have to bring the stretcher out and everything.
I love that like everybody in the like just a little detail is like everybody in the stands are like silent, both
Uh-huh.
sides, except for Buddy and Moochie are all like cheering the fact that he got like
Oh,
injured.
God
Just a
almighty.
little just a little detail that I'm like, yeah, these guys are assholes. Like just come on, just like milk the assholeness out of it. So
Uh-huh.
that way when they get their comeuppance later, we're like, oh, what a dick. Yeah, get him, Christine.
Yeah. Life is a little bit worse, but a little bit easier if everyone's hateful tendencies were just on the surface like
I know,
this,
right?
because they're just a little bit easier to identify the
You can spot.
psychopaths.
You can
Yeah.
spot them.
Yep.
Also, I was like, why is Buddy? Wait, wasn't he like expelled from school? How is he at a school function right now?
Right. Yeah. He brought a switchblade, which I believe is generally an illegal
Yeah,
weapon to own
yeah,
in the country.
yeah,
November 5th. So we're dealing almost a month
yeah,
later now. Dennis is still in the hospital, neck brace.
yeah.
Arnie comes to visit him. There's a couple of these moments where he comes to visit Dennis that start friendly and then get cold real quick.
Yeah.
Um, Dennis tells him, he was like, I'm not playing football anymore. The doctor told me like
He's like, I
one
can't.
more
Yeah.
centimeter to the left and I would have been paralyzed from the waist down.
Yeah.
And he asks Arnie, how'd you get that car fixed up like that? And Arnie says, good old fashioned hard work. And then it turns Arnie sour because Arnie's like, my parents still won't let me park it in front of the house. And he says to Dennis, has it ever occurred to you that part of being a parent is trying to kill your kids?
What an exit line.
You okay? Drive-in movie time, Cecil.
Oh, yay.
Arnie and Lee are making out in Christine.
I
Not
love
really
it's like
watching the movie.
pouring down rain. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't even see the screen.
No.
Like the movie is a pretext for making out at the drive-in, clearly.
And he starts to like get his hand into her shirt, and eventually she's like, I can't, no, no. And she
Yeah.
gets out of the car and runs off, and soaking wet, standing kind of under the awning of the concession stand, and he goes to talk to her, and she's like, I can't do this here, not in that car, because I hate that car.
Yeah.
You care more about that car than you care about me.
Which is like, this is the thing is I think with like a lot of Stephen King stories about like the insidious nature of these evil artifacts or these
Mm-hmm.
evil situations is that on the outset they sound completely irrational.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of like a car being evil, that's, come on, like I just get a weird vibe off of that pet cemetery over there, like this sort of thing of like when you say it out loud it sounds kind of silly,
Yeah.
but then you start accumulating enough hard evidence so that way by the end we've reached the full hero's journey against the evil artifact, which is like, and Arnie's, he's like kind of this is where Arnie is kind of mid-grade. Like he's not fully, like he's definitely in love with Christine, but he's not beyond hope
Yeah.
because he's like, to be like, I love this car, but I think it's a car. You're a person. Come on, that's silly.
Yeah. It it's that thing of you're trying to communicate to somebody of like that you don't feel paid attention to enough.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it comes out, I hate that car.
Yeah.
Again, we're looking at the things on the surface of life and not the things inside.
Yeah.
They get back into the car, he's gonna drive her home, but she
She's
just
eating a
is like, I
donut.
hate it. And she punches the
Oh, I
seat.
know,
She's
right?
like,
Oh, I love this.
so
He's
good.
like,
And he's
what'd you
like,
do?
don't do that. I strongly recommend you don't do that. And she's like, what, you don't like me slapping your girl? Like my jaw dropped when she said that.
Right? I love Lee. She's fucking great.
She's real great.
Because she's like, this is stupid. Like, you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
You are not listening to what I'm saying.
Well, and he clearly is not fully paying attention to what is going on in her mind or body or space or anything because the windshield wiper catches something
Yeah.
weird happens on the windshield and he's like, oh no. And he jumps out in the rain to try and fix the windshield wiper. And Christine locks the doors
Yep.
just as she's taking a bite of her donut. Is that what it
I think
was?
it's a donut.
Sandwich,
Maybe.
something.
Sure.
And it starts playing You're Mine on the radio.
Oh, fuck.
And she starts choking. And
And it's
yeah.
this sequence is so crazy because the car is flooded with light.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those like John Carpenter like primo touches that is like maybe is alluded to in the book or in the screenplay, but like it makes like we know something supernatural is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like the super, super bright light that is just sort of emanating from this car. They're like, oh, this car is a presence
Yeah.
to it. That I think in the hands of other people, it would have been just like we would have seen a girl choking in a car, but it has this uncanny quality to it because of the nature of the light, the
Yeah.
lighting of the scene.
And Arnie can't get back into the car. She can't get out of the car. She's choking. There's a man in the car next to them that she finally gets the door unlocked.
Mhm.
And that guy gets the door open, pulls her out of the car, and goes right into the Heimlich maneuver. And what does Arnie say? Get your hands off of her. Get your goddamn hands off of her.
So possessive.
Uh-huh. She is reasonably upset with
Yeah.
this
This
moment.
is the turning point. Yeah. She's like, listen, we gotta talk.
Arnie's your like classic trope of the guy who's like, my ex-girlfriend's crazy. She was
Yeah.
always nagging me about getting a job. Did you not have a job? That's beside the point. She's nagging.
Yeah. Get off my back. I think he says get off my back like no less than 3 times in this
Yep.
movie.
So she's obviously, she points out, one, I could have died and you didn't
Yeah.
help. And then you got mad when that guy tried to give me the Heimlich. And he's like, well, I could have given you the Heimlich, but you
But you
didn't.
didn't. But you didn't. All right. You were fucking around with the windshield wiper of your car.
And she also is like pointing out that this is where she points out that that radio only plays old songs. And also, sometimes when we make out in that car, the radio just dies
Yeah.
and the whole car shuts down.
Yeah. As if it's like jealous for your attention.
Uh-huh.
Because we've seen the way that Arnie just like whenever anything little happens with Christine, he's got to like be right on it, which for Lee has got to be probably pretty fucking annoying.
Yep. And again, he makes everything worse by shouting, I think you're just sexually frustrated at her. Mm. Let's use our words, Arnie,
Yeah.
but not those
Uh-huh.
words. Let's
It's,
different words than
it's
those.
different words.
Uh-huh. He has to like then when he has to leave Lee's house, Christine won't start and he has to sweet talk her. He's like, come on, baby, everything's gonna be the same.
I know.
And she starts
It's all
right on
right.
up with an old love song playing on the radio.
Oh,
Back at Darnell's garage, Buddy and his gang sneak in after Arnie park it, and they destroy this fucking thing.
love it.
One of the things I'm so impressed with this movie is the special effects on this car. Like,
Oh
there's
yeah.
no special effects in this scene. This is men smashing a car to
Sure.
pieces. But the expense, like, I can't imagine that in 1983, whenever we're doing this, that like it would have been impossible to get a hold of a nice looking Plymouth Fury and smash it to death. But I couldn't tell what they did to create some of the effects of how this car is destroyed. Did they shoot the whole movie and this is the last scene they shot?
No, they have a lot of cars. I
Great.
can't remember the exact number, but they have like multiple 1950 whatever Plymouth Furies. And like essentially like one of them, like one or two of them were like the only two that kind of were their like star cars, and then
Yeah.
all the rest were literally just to be destroyed.
Okay. The ones that you could like drive up on embankments and
Yeah, the set
sideswipe
on
immediately.
fire,
Yeah.
drive into wall, yeah, all that. But they had
Yeah.
multiple versions of those. And then the scene of the regeneration, which we're going to get to in a little bit, is actually it's plastic.
That's
It's
what it
like
looks like. Yeah.
that they kind of reversed the image and they
Reverse the
like
filming.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, absolute fucking fastball from John Carpenter. This movie
I
is
love it.
just
Like
it.
it's like
Practical effects look so much cooler. I
yeah.
mean, they're doing an effect, but it
But that's it. But that's what makes it cool is because you are sitting there watching it being like, I know that somebody had to figure out how to do this. And what I'm watching is actual movie magic
yeah,
because I'm watching a thing that somebody had to figure out
yeah.
how to make this happen.
And the practical effects have presence, tangibility, and weight to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was mesmerizing watching the car regenerate the way it
Yeah.
does. So they take crowbars and hammers, knifing up the seats. The radio kicks on. It plays. You keep on knocking, but you can't come in by Little
Mhm.
Richard again. But Moochie just fucking smashes that
Yeah.
radio. Next day, Arnie is with Lee. And he's gonna try and make it up to her, do whatever, like, let's go talk. First, they gotta go get his car from Darnell's, and when they get there, they find it totally smashed. And he goes from talking to her to say, hey, I'm thinking maybe we should apply to the same colleges next year,
I
maybe kind
know,
of make a
right?
future for ourselves.
I love her face when she's like, really?
Yep.
We should, what? Huh? 'Cause what?
To the point where he sees Christine completely destroyed.
And that is where his attentions lie.
Yeah. And she is like, Arnie, I'm so sorry. Who we think did this? Like, how did this happen? He's like,
Yeah.
don't touch me, sinner, is what he says to her and pushes her
Wondered
back.
about that.
Uh-huh.
Sinner?
Is this
What?
a we don't really get into any hyper religious characters in this movie, but it
I
is
know.
a
We know that's a,
staple of
that's a
Stephen
yeah, it's a
King.
Stephen King. Yeah, the super religious
I
kind
can't
of.
remember from the novel well enough to whether or not he comes from a hyper religious family,
Yeah.
but either actually, I kind of like that in the movie he doesn't. There is no mention of that,
Yeah.
but it's the same type of he says it with the same type of energy that like a fire and brimstone preacher might say it
Yes.
to
Yes.
someone like that, the hate that comes from that type of preaching.
It's also like a 1950s. It's like an older style of sort of put down,
Yeah.
like which you imagine is sort of Christine's influence is sort of an older generation
Yeah.
of like calling someone a Jezebel or
Yeah.
a sinner is like the worst thing you can say to them versus like the 70s, 80s. You're like, sinner.
Uh-huh.
Okay, grandma, get you off to bed.
Well, unfortunately, he's, going to be the type of person that has to fix this himself. He doesn't file a police report. He
Nope.
doesn't call Jake from State Farm. Doesn't even
Nope.
call Flo from Progressive. Like he
Nope.
just is like, I'm just gonna fix this thing on my own because it's his girl. No one else
But you
can
know
touch
what?
her.
But this is the scene. This is the literally the midpoint. I like taking my intermissions when I watch these movies, and I've
Uh-huh.
gotten very good at this, Jeffrey.
Uh-huh.
There's a like feeling, like when you know you've seen the kind of end of act one of a movie and watching this car fucking regenerate. And
Yeah.
it's this like long shot. It was like, like Christina's destroyed. And
Yeah.
it's this long, like super long shot up into the face of Arnie. And he says, okay, let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
And then it's a long ass shot of him standing in front of Christine and her lights come on by herself
Mm-hmm.
and watching this car regenerate to like, I think it's like John Carpenter
Mm-hmm.
electronic, drone music. It's sort of an electronic version of da 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 da. So it's
Yeah.
like almost like striptease burlesque
Yeah, it's sultry
kind
is
of
what I wrote.
music
Yeah, sultry music.
is like like snaps,
Yes.
absolute snaps. And as
Yeah.
soon as that, I was like, poop, and we have our intermission because this movie is that's like this. We've now hit the point where we all know that Arnie is possessed by an evil car and doesn't care that he's possessed because his
Yeah.
car can rebuild itself.
Yeah.
He just has to talk nice to it.
Yeah. He says we'll show those shitters what we can do. Also, there's a scene wherein his parents try to talk to him about like and they seem legitimate, just like Lee. They seem legitimately shocked and
Yeah.
saddened to hear that his car got destroyed like this.
Yeah.
And he's not take just like with Lee, he's not taking their empathy. He says, "This is
Yeah.
your fault. If you would let me park here, this wouldn't have happened." Which I'm like, not true.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably not. I
and
mean, no, it's
yeah, they wouldn't do it in public, would they? They
yeah,
wouldn't do
like
it out in a driveway.
like they're not going to be like smashing somebody's car up for 30 minutes an hour
Yeah,
in
you're right.
in
You're right.
suburbia, but they still would have found a way to like get even with you, dude.
Yeah, they still would have done something. But dad says you and your mom and I want to help you buy a new car. And he's like, it turns out that's what everybody wants is me not to have Christine. Fuck you. Dad tries to confront him about his disrespect, but he ends up choking his dad to
Yeah.
submission. and is like, peace, bitch.
Yeah.
And that's a really unnerving scene when we see father understand that he is at the violent mercy of his own son.
Yeah. It's that, it's also how he reacts afterwards. That Arnie is like, it's like he kind of flies off into these violent rages, jealous
Mhm.
sometimes, you know, often in protection of Christine. But then he kind of goes right back to like sociopath cool afterwards,
Yeah.
like almost like literally just like pops his collar and is like, you know, I'm out of here, man.
Yeah. Well, now we're in full rage revenge mode because we've got Moochie coming home from
Oh,
work. Again, it's really interesting with the you mentioned class earlier
yeah,
because Moochie and Buddy and all of them, they're all very blue collar
yeah,
families, and
yep,
Arnie comes from this like nice, upstanding white suburban
hmm,
white collar sort of world, upper middle class. And anyways, he hears old music playing from a car radio, and he looks around
love
the
it.
corner and he sees brand spanking new looking Christine. Hey,
The
Cuntingham.
menace. It's the menace. It's the fact that the car is like taking its time,
Yeah.
driving real slow. Horrifying.
Moochie is a little bit right. He's rightfully a little afraid because he's like, you ain't mad, are you? You ain't mad, are you, Cunningham? Right? That car is like vroom vroom. Nope.
Yeah.
We're not. You're not talking a way out of this shit.
I love the fact that so we talked about like the light, like the ultra white light when Christine is like trying to kill Lee. But I love the fact that this is kind of the opposite end in that all the Christine's car windows are blacked out whenever she goes on murder rages, murder
Yeah.
sprees, which is perfect because you can't see who's driving, so you don't know. The mystery of this movie is Arnie doing this at all?
Yeah.
Is he doing it sometime? Or is it all Christine?
Yeah.
And we kind of get an answer. We get sort of an answer, but I kind of like the ambiguity of the sort of Agatha Christie of it all.
Yeah. I did like the beats of this because I sort of took it at I think at face value, which is that Christine is doing all of this
Okay.
on her
Yeah.
own.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not until the very end in the showdown against the caterpillar, against the
Yeah. Yeah.
bulldozer,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that we see Arnie actually driving it.
Yeah.
Because this is when Arnie and Christine kind of become
They
one.
become one
Yeah.
in their evilness.
But I do think there's a look on his face when we get to the detective. There's a look on his face when
Agree.
Darnell is found dead,
Yeah.
when the detective tells him that, and you see the look on Arnie's face of like, that was not intended. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
also, in that scene, we never see Arnie in the car
Yeah.
either. So, anyways, this car
Moochie's gonna get
manages to,
his.
yep, it manages to trap him in a very narrow alley, and he gets into a loading dock that the car can't fit into. And Moochie, like, he draws a
Oh
switchblade
my
on the
God.
car. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Moochie. But that car manages to tear off its own fenders, squeezing into the corner to crush him, as we learn later, in half.
Yep.
This movie is similar to Halloween, another John Carpenter legendary film, and in the sense that it is scary, it's
Hmm.
violent,
Yeah.
but there is not a lot of blood or gloopy gloppy
No.
things happening in this. It is the deaths are all the way up to the point, and then you kind of
Yeah.
everything's kind of obscured.
Yeah. And you don't see the aftermath. You
Nope.
don't see, it's not like you're going to see half a body lying over here, half a body lying over there. It's all kind of told later,
Yeah.
which I feel is also a Stephen King thing of like we're going to report on the horror
Yes.
up until the very end. And then at the very end, then it's like kind of a free for all of
Yeah.
madness.
Yeah. I always feel like Stephen King's greatest terrors, the things that he really does in his movies and in his books, is the is just how horrible people can be to each other.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so when it surfaces as Pennywise, it's even
Mhm.
scarier because we have a true monster. But
Yeah.
a lot of times it's just fucking
People
Carrie
being
White's
horrible
mother.
to each other. Yeah, yeah,
Carrie White's mother is the scariest part of that movie in a lot of
yeah,
ways
yeah.
because,
Or the town looking away from children being
yeah,
kidnapped by Pennywise. Like
yeah,
it's the willful looking away or the just people, yeah, people being assholes.
yep, yep. So, Arnie is telling Dennis, talking about Moochie's death, and Dennis is
He is.
like, I mean, I think obviously Buddy is the one who trashed Christine. Like, what if he does it again? And Arnie's like, he won't do it again.
Eek.
Okay, Detective Rudolph Junkins shows up
Yes.
at
Harry
the
Dean
high
Stanton,
school.
everyone. Harry
Oh,
Dean Stanton.
fucking love Harry Dean Stanton.
Like they just don't make actors like this anymore, right?
No,
That's
they
like
really don't.
equal parts tough guy, wise guy. Like I don't know. There's something about him that's so like I know you're like I it's a cat and mouse game
Yeah,
with Arnie of like I can't say too much because I'm pretty sure your car or someone in your car killed this dude.
yeah.
Like we have witnesses, but I can't come right out and say it's you. So it's I don't know. There's like this man plays subtext so fucking well. And listen, Keith Gordon is great as Arnie. Like he's a little bit over the top, but subtext is not really his forte.
No.
So in these scenes with Harry Dean Stanton, you're just like, get him, Harry Dean Stanton, tear him up.
Well, and it's so fitting because Harry Dean Stanton has wisdom and law and all this sort of stuff on his side and experience
Yeah.
as a detective and is a good movie detective in the way that he's trying to get
Yep.
the subject of interest, the person of interest to say something. But Keith Gordon, I think, is doing exactly what this character should be doing, which is
Yeah.
kind of recklessly just throwing one-liners back at
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, and Yeah, it's he eventually says to the detective, like, listen, buddy, it's not against the law to fix up my car, right? And he's like, it certainly is not.
No.
He's like, well, get off my fucking back. See you later.
Yeah.
Um, Arnie keeps trying to get Lee to give him another shot. She's very much like, I think the scene
Is
is
he
really great.
though?
Huh?
Is
Is
he?
he? Well, and that's the thing is that I think this is a really interesting scene because it's setting up like you said, like there's a sociopathic behavior to him. Like
Yeah.
he's love bombing her, and
Yeah.
then when she is conflicting with any other feeling he has,
Yeah.
he's angry.
Yeah.
And
You also
he
get the
yeah.
it's like you also get the impression that whenever he's away from Christine, it's this sort of like I mean it's like an abusive relationship. It's like whenever he gets away from Christine, that's when he starts to have human feelings again.
Uh-huh.
you know. But I looked at that clock. He called her at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Can you imagine calling somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, I love you. I want you to give me a second chance. And she's like, what? I mean, we should talk about, I don't know. And this phone call ends up with him calling her a bitch and like slamming the phone. I was like, "Yeah,
Uh-huh.
what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. Okay, Buddy and one of his other lackeys are driving around in the Camaro.
The bitchin' Camaro.
Bitchin' Camaro. Beast of Burden by the Rolling Stones is on the
Amazing.
radio.
Which I
Awesome.
do love this like the sort of not doo-wop at the hop kind of
Yes.
rock and roll music.
Yeah.
Just to like remind you that like what rock and roll sort of has become versus
Yeah.
what it used to be, the origins of rock and roll, you know?
And not to over theorize, which is what we do in 21st century internet culture
Sure.
about
Yeah.
films, which is like, I have a theory about what
Oh,
it's
yes.
saying and what it's doing about a thing that never is explicitly stated in the film. But there is a part of me in watching the scene that it the Christine plays music from its era,
Hmm.
which is part of its disposition as a cursed car. A
Sure.
cur- uh, This Camaro that Buddy drives is playing late 60s. It is a 68,
Yeah.
67 Camaro. It is playing late 60s
Oh yeah,
Rolling
yeah, yeah. It
Stones
also
music.
has that kind of
And so and Buddy is just as horrible as Arnie in
yeah.
so many ways. And so part of me did have a sense of, oh, another cursed car. And the way that Christine, when it comes for them, so Christine comes for it at a gas station, it does, it goes out of its way to total that Camaro before
Oh
it
my
takes on
God.
Buddy.
I like the lead. I like the chase lead up as
Yes,
well,
please.
where they're driving along. They're like drinking JB. They're like drinking James Dean or James Bean.
um,
Drinking James Dean.
J and B,
Jimmy
the
Bean. Yeah, like they're
oh, Jim
drinking
Bean.
whiskey.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
drinking Jim Bean, and it's like the super bright lights come on, and they're like, this fucking asshole. And so they pull into a yard, and he's like, I'm gonna beat him at their own game. And so he backs up really fast, but Christine kind of matches him,
Yeah.
which is, oh my gosh, how dare they
A little
continue to,
auto tango. Yeah.
yeah, auto tango. So finally, he's like, peels into this gas station, gets out of his car, and just starts screaming, somebody's chasing me. And you're right, Christine slams into this Camaro so hard that it like there's a couple of these where like Christine like gets her like teeth
Uh-huh.
into other cars and just drags that car around, which I think is such a like it's something that can logically happen,
Uh-huh.
like when cars get enmeshed like that. But it has this feeling that like this car can do more than normal cars can. Like this car has hands. It
Yeah.
can grab onto things with its front grille,
Yeah.
like bite into something. That again, like adds to this anthropomorphized car image of like Christine can do more than normal cars can.
Yeah. It
But
also
she
like
fucks up that Camaro.
she and also rips open its fuel tank. And
Yeah.
like fuel is like not spraying, spilling everywhere. And then manages to get that gas station to fully explode.
Yep.
So
And we lose,
Buddy's
I think,
lackey friend,
Rich. Yeah, Rich, or and then there's
yeah,
also like the other sort of nerd friend Vandenberg, or who works at the
yeah, who
gas
works at the
station.
gas station. So those two
They,
die in
they
this
die.
wreck and explosion,
Yeah.
and Buddy goes running. What a visual. Flaming
Christine, oh
Christine
my God.
just slow running down Buddy in the middle of
Yeah.
the highway.
Jeffrey, why in
Uh-huh.
horror movies do they always run down the middle of the highway?
We talked about this during Maximum Overdrive. We talked about it during Duel. Any kind of car horror movie, like,
Why are you running down the middle lane? I mean, it looks visually, it looks the best.
yeah,
But logically, be like, just go where cars can't go, dude.
yeah,
How about up a two-story building?
yeah, yeah,
Or just near a building.
yeah.
But
So
no, he's
this,
running down the middle of the running down the dotted yellow line.
so this Christine is still like fully like
On
burnt,
fire.
ashy, smoking,
Oh, when she gets back to
pulling
the
back into
yeah.
Darnell's late at night.
Again,
And
it's like I love the look of this. It's like this car has been melted, but it has won.
yeah, and she's basically gonna go back to bed and lick her wounds. That's what
Yeah,
Christine is doing, and
yeah,
then wake up fresh the next day.
yep,
This is the one death I didn't fully. There, Christine kind of has a vengeance, a protectiveness over
yes,
Arnie, over
yes.
herself too. But darn, I guess if you treat kind of like we watched Nope last month in Patreon,
Mhm.
and that deals with the alien is actually an animal, not a spaceship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so Christine is also sort of an animal. She has
yeah,
teeth, she has claws, she can
yeah,
heal, she's a
yeah.
living creature.
She has
But
moods. She has wants. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but Darnell doesn't explicitly threaten Christine, but he draws his rifle
Well,
thinking somebody stole Arnie's
yes,
car because he calls his friend because Arnie was supposed to be making a delivery.
yep.
And
It's
he's
like
like,
you're
yeah,
gonna
he
drive
was
my
here
Chrysler.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're driving
And
my Chrysler, right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so he thinks somebody has stolen Arnie's car, driven it back. He draws a rifle. He's like, all right, Jack, come out. he rides over. So in a way, he's being protective of Christine and
Arnie.
Arnie.
Yeah.
But when he opens it up, he sees no one on the inside. And then he's drawn to
Why does
sit.
this man sit inside this steaming car?
Yeah.
Like the car is so hot that when he tries to open it with his hands, he has to get like a rag to like open the car because it's like why are you gonna sit inside that death car?
Don't sit in that death car. I
Don't sit
think
in the death car, and especially don't sit in the death car with your shotgun.
I think it's the I think it's the magical allure of Christine.
Yeah,
Like we're
yeah,
supposed to understand that there's a love potion level of attraction
yeah,
to this car, a siren song, if you will,
yeah.
in the same way that at the beginning the boys are all ogling Lee as the
Lee.
new student. And
Yeah,
because
like they're willing to do anything just to give one night with this. And Darnell has this thing of like he might be kind of grubby and a little cantankerous, but he's still a car guy.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think he's still, and I think there isn't, there's enough kind of mystique around this car that he kind of wants a peek.
yeah. Yep.
But
Well,
Christine is fiercely monogamous.
yep. And she starts playing Boney Maroney and crushing him using the seat adjustment,
I
pressing
love it.
him completely into the steering wheel and crushing him. So next day, Arnie shows up at the garage. Detective Junkins and other cops are there. And, he's got receipts from his errands. He's got an
Yeah.
alibi.
He's
Arnie
like, yep.
does. And detective is
I,
like, listen, Buddy and his two friends are dead.
yep. Gas station
Also,
exploded.
gas station exploded. Also, Darnell's fucking dead in your car.
Yeah.
And Arnie's like, I swear to God, I don't know what's going on. And then when he rounds the corner to see them inspecting that car is in pristine shape.
She's just so thirsty. I mean, I wonder if that's why she kills Darnell is to kind of regenerate. Like she
Oh,
kind of like, it's like that house and burnt offerings. Like the more blood you feed it, the prettier it gets. Like it needs that blood to sort of regenerate itself. Blood or
that's
love or affection, some triangle of that.
that's so simple and makes so much sense. Yeah, yeah. So Lee calls Dennis and is like, I need to talk to you about Christine.
I love this. He's like, you want to talk about Arnie? She's like, no, we need to talk about that goddamn car.
Because she says, I don't think he's Arnie anymore.
Yeah. Thank God there's like I love Lee because she is the most like one of the more competent characters in the like or not competent, but like she's operating at a level that we're like, oh thank God there's not like just a dumb dummy in this movie, which
Yeah,
so many times teenagers in horror movies especially are just dumb dummies.
yeah.
And Lee is like one step ahead, which is a great place for your character to be.
I totally agree. And I like a really smart final girl.
Yeah.
Is really nice. And she's on to the supernatural being a real
Yeah.
thing very
Yeah.
early on without being crazy or, she's not really ever told she's crazy by anyone other than Arnie, who's our
Yeah.
villain, right? So, um, and Dennis has seen it too, so he gets it.
Yeah.
Um,
And Dennis has the sort of anecdotal, like he knows all the stuff about the woman who died, the guy who died,
yeah.
and Lee is like, that car's evil.
And these two people have been part of his life in a really intense way. Dennis,
Mhm.
since they were children, and she's had like a couple months relationship, but that's a really intense time
Yeah,
where you start love forms very quickly.
like senior year,
Yeah.
relationship. Oh, for sure.
And so they both know he's not right ever since that
Yeah,
car showed up. And so she fucking hates that car. She finally is like, I gotta go. She's gonna go home. She's gonna walk home, and we see Christine round the corner.
yeah,
So scary because I'm like,
yeah.
oh
I
fuck.
know because you immediately you're like that car is going to kill her,
It
but no,
knows.
no, it
No?
knows absolutely. Well, I mean that car's had it out for her since Act One.
Yeah.
but she does like again, this is very like Halloween, the sort of like hiding behind trees in suburbia, kind of like seeing what other people are triangulation.
Uh-huh.
But she hides from Christine. And
Yeah.
it's not just Christine, it's Arnie. And I think what this is New Year's, they're having like their New Year's tradition where they go out just hanging out on New Year's, and it's Arnie picking up Dennis. And Dennis told Lee that he's like, okay, I'm gonna try and talk to Arnie,
Uh-huh.
see if I can find out anything. And this scene is so sad to me. Like the sadness is like, I mean, it's fear and sadness because this is where Arnie is like almost like death wish.
Yes.
I mean, literal, not almost, literal death wish. Like taking his hands off the wheel, like goading Dennis into drinking more beer, like, like something that the character at the beginning of this movie would never have even thought about doing.
Yeah. Yeah, he is yeah, he's so fully into the relationship that he's having with this car and the
Yeah.
power and the rage that it brings him. And
The bullied becomes the bully.
yeah. And also that I think this movie so perfectly follows the notion of a person who can't handle a relationship.
Yeah.
He falls so head over heels with somebody and is doing everything for them and is like living life to the fullest for that person. And eventually that person, as much as they may have loved him for the first few months, is like, this is a little much. And I do
Yeah.
get the sense that
Yeah.
If this were a true relationship
If
story, that
Christine were a human,
if
yeah.
Christine were a beautiful woman, would finally just be like, Arnie, we can't anymore. This is it's too much
Yeah.
for
Like you
me.
can't
This
spend
isn't
all
balance.
your time with me.
Yeah, but I do want you to be true. But also, she kind of
But that's the
generated
thing.
that in
But if
him.
Christine were a beautiful woman, she would be just as toxic as art. Like she would,
Yes.
like that's the thing. Is like, do you remember Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2?
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of Christine embodied as a person.
Yeah.
Psychopath, 1950s prom queen.
Yeah. Yeah. Just as toxic
Yeah.
as Arnie, but he is not as powerful emotionally,
Yeah.
mentally, or physically as she is. Yeah, they're like racing at like 90 on the highway. He's drinking, letting go of the wheel. Christine is like driving herself around the
Yeah.
corners. We see
I
a
love it
shot. The
oh my
odometer
God.
is down to 68,000 at this point,
I know.
and it's rolling backwards.
That's so wild, so uncanny. But it's like it's just I don't know. This is like for John Stockwell who plays Dennis is like just the sadness on his face. It's
Hmm.
fear, but also just like he knows that he's like mourning his friend. Like he's more sad than anything else. He's
Hmm.
not angry. He's not playing. He's not screaming at him. But he's like trying to find some vestige of his old friend in there, and he's just not getting it. I
Yeah,
don't know. To me, that's just like really, just like heartbreaking to watch.
yeah, it truly is. So next day, so we've survived New Year's Eve somehow. They,
Somehow,
because of Christine, they did not die from drinking and driving
yeah,
to this party that is far beyond the edge of town. This was a long ass drive.
yeah.
Okay, they have a plan. Dennis and Lee do. Dennis goes and carves with a screwdriver Darnell's tonight onto Christine's hood at the high
So
school parking.
1950, like it's so greasers and so like it's so 1950s. Like I'm gonna call you out
Hmm.
in the parking lot after the high school dance.
Their plan is we're gonna hotwire this bulldozer. Love that he knows how to hotwire anything, let
I know,
alone
right?
construction
Drive a
equipment.
bulldozer, which I read that like John Stockwell actually had to learn how to drive a fucking bulldozer because those things are like not intuitive.
No,
I would imagine.
no, no. I would guess very not. So they've got this giant
They're
caterpillar.
gonna
Yeah.
lock Christine in
Hmm.
the auto shop and just like smash her. I don't know. Their plan is sort of step one, get Christine here. Step two, trap Christine. Trap or step three, we
Something.
win.
Yeah. Yep. Well, their plan is when Christine comes back, because she drives on her own, because she's
Yeah.
gonna know I did this.
Yeah.
Um, You get that door shut and then get into the office. Keep your head down when she gets
Mhm.
fully inside. Close that garage door, and then I'll attack it with the bulldozer. And so as he's like, okay, Lee, go get in place now. And I'm thinking this is a bad plan because you can already see how flimsy that office is.
I
You
know,
know,
right? Yeah.
like the walls you use to build an office space in a auto garage are
They're
usually
nefarious.
ones you can't even lean on.
Yeah. I mean, hell, the door to the garage is something that we know Christine is unperturbed by. But
Yes.
continue with the plan. It's fine.
But as soon as she gets out of that bulldozer, headlights come on. Christine is hiding under a pile of junk.
This is the fucking best jump scare, Jeffrey.
Totally.
Like, this is like, jump scares, like, especially in, like we're kind of so used to the like quiet, 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 loud jump scare beat. This jump scare is so fucking out of left field.
Uh-huh.
And it's I don't know, it just works so goddamn well because you know that the car has been sitting there this entire time, like watching them plot and plan and do all this bullshit.
Yep. And
Hunter becomes the hunted.
it's so good. And also just the notion that the car was hiding there. It's
I
so
know.
good. I'm like, how did it get under all the rug?
I
I,
know
I don't know. It's so
who put
good.
the metal over top of it.
So it Christine's on the loose. And what
Yeah.
Dennis does, smart plan. Lee gets kind of cornered up against the wall, and he drives toward her and pins her in using the bulldozer
Yeah.
so that Christine can't get to her.
Yeah.
Like, smart thinking,
Very good. Very
actually.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. But then we do know how she got all that junk, but Christine got all the junk piled on top of her because it turns out Arnie is driving the car.
And I love Arnie in this one shot. He is full on Night of the Living Dead greaser zombie.
Yeah.
Like he's at his most John Travolta in Grease, but he's got like the blacked out eyes, the pallid makeup face. Like he is like it's not quite The Exorcist, but it is like it's zombie makeup.
Yes. Um, Also, we see that Christine has already like healed herself from some of this, or like she's a quick
Yeah,
healer now.
yeah,
Um, and then Lee goes running into the office, and Christine chases at Arnie, driving Christine, chases after her, crashing into the office, doesn't get her, but Arnie goes flying through the windshield.
uh-oh.
And when it uh when it pulls back, when the camera pulls back, we see he has a giant piece of glass stuck in his belly, and
Oh,
he is dead.
he is dead.
As Christine pulls out of the office, there's like an acknowledgement of Arnie, and it starts playing the song "I'll Forever Love You."
I know, right?
Mm,
But listen, she's pissed.
yeah,
She's like, you made me look what you made me do.
yeah,
You made me kill my only boyfriend
yeah,
since the last boyfriend that died in me.
yeah. It is like a toxic relationship of like, you
Yeah,
made me do this. You
yeah,
made it just
yeah,
the
yeah,
same way
yeah.
he yelled at his parents, like, it's your fault Christine got destroyed
Yeah.
because you didn't let her do the blah, blah, blah. Um, this whole time, part of what caused Christine to be able to go after Lee was the bulldozer died.
Yeah.
And Dennis is working hard to get it restarted, tapping those wires together because like that's how you hotwire. I don't know.
Sure. Because don't I always thought like you needed like a radio to hotwire a car or to a bulldozer. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't
talking
know
about it. I
how
don't know.
none of that shit works, but he
Whatever.
manages to get those wires to fire up that loader again, and he drives, lifts the front loader of the bulldozer and drives down the spikes on the tips into Christine, and it keeps doing it. She's trying to regenerate, but he manages to fully pin that fucker down, and she seems dead. Um, and they hop out to be like, let's embrace. We're
Yay.
safe, baby. But Christine manages to heal herself, pull out of that situation. Dennis basically goes full throttle and like bulldozes right on top of her.
Yes. Like smushes her flat.
fully pins her down. Full
Yeah.
like official wrestling pin down. 10
Yeah.
count.
And we know that Christine is fully down because
Hmm.
the radio goes out, which I think is such like a great like how do you know when an evil possessed car is actually dead? And the answer
Yeah,
is you don't.
you
And you
don't.
shouldn't because we're going to have our epilogue here in a minute.
Yeah.
But the radio has kind of been her sentient communication
Uh-huh.
style. And so when that bulldozer, I mean, and listen, it is a full 5 minutes of him just backing up, just like trying to parallel park on top of another car with a
Yep.
bulldozer.
Yep.
But when he finally gets that radio, the radio goes out. We're like, there's a sense of finality to
Yeah.
it that we need.
And the song playing on the radio as she dies is Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay.
Love it.
I fucking love this epilogue. This is one of my favorite epilogues of
Perfect.
any
Yeah,
of
yeah,
these
yeah,
horror
yeah, yeah.
movies because as Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay dies on the radio as the bulldozer is crushing down on
Hmm.
Christine, immediate cut to daytime junk lot. We see the crane drop a cubed car. You know how they
Cubed
fully compact
Christine.
a car to cube.
We're just like, thank God. There's
Yeah.
no like, I don't know. Let's see the police. Well, I don't. Maybe it was the Arnie that was. No, like these two, and I love that they've gotten the cop is like fully in. He's like, oh, this car is evil as well.
Yeah.
Like this car needs to be destroyed.
Yeah. And he's like, you two are real heroes. And Dennis says, a real hero could have saved Arnie. And then such a good fake. They
Hmm.
hear like La Bamba, I don't know, some Richie
Some doo
Valens
wop.
song or
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah.
some old school bop is playing from a little radio, and they both kind of turn and look toward the car, but what they see is just a worker walking by with a
Some dude.
boombox on
Yeah.
his shoulder, and he just kind of glares at them like, what the fuck are you looking at?
And Lee says, I hate rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. And then the final beat is a close up of Christine's cubed wreckage, and we just see a little bit of the chrome metal kind of shifting
Just a little
inside of it.
twitch.
Yeah. The end. Shall we rate this movie?
Yes, let's.
Okay, if we're talking about horror film approachability, if you're kind of horror movie averse, let me give you a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all approachable, 10 being super approachable. I mean, I'm gonna give Christine like 7 do-it-yourself junkyards out of 10. And the horror is in the tension, but it's not like super bloody. And I said it's very similar in its violence and its tension and its scares to Halloween, which I think I rated Halloween as like a 5. But Halloween's scare is a little bit more tangible in the sense that it
Hmm.
is a man with a knife who is
Yeah,
breaking into people's women's homes and
yeah.
going after them. This is a car, so there's a little bit more of a higher concept to this movie that makes it, I think, way more approachable. It's not super bloody. Um,
No.
Honestly, the toughest parts of this movie are like the shitty boyfriending of Arnie and the the violence in his own home and just the way people are shitheads to each other. But
Yeah.
I think this is a really top-notch John Carpenter movie. I think this is truly, truly fastball material. I was so surprised at how much I like this, and I think it's pretty approachable. As a horror film, to speak nothing of approachability, what do you think, Cecil?
You know, as a horror film, this is an interesting one because I love this film. But as a horror film, it kind of leaves a little something to be desired, I think. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love it as a John Carpenter action movie,
Yeah.
but like, compare it to like The Thing or,
Even
other,
Halloween.
or
Yeah.
even Halloween that are more horror. This has supernatural elements to it, but it's like it's more of an almost like an action film with supernatural elements.
Yeah.
I think it is maybe it runs a little bit long. There's some
Yeah.
parts that I'm like, oh, yeah, we can kind of maybe get to the point here, but it's
Uh-huh.
about like how do you anthropomorphize a car so goddamn well? Like this car is like it's just masterfully done. So for that reason, I would say 8 out of 10. Um, uh, Bags full of yogurt.
Gross. All right, let's figure out what movie we're gonna watch next. You've got a scare die, I've got a style die. We'll roll those up, see what movie fits these two things. So On your scare die, Cecil, if you roll a 1, our scare is isolation. 2, haunted. 3, psycho killer. If you roll a 4, it's Mother Earth, Mother Nature's our scare. 5, clowns and or dolls. 6, aliens. What is our scare?
That's a 1.
Kind of, oh, that isolation's been on there for a while.
Yeah, it's time to let's revamp this dice rolls.
We're gonna have lots of options no matter what the
Yes, we
style
are.
is, I think. So style. If I roll a 1, our style is has to be a movie from the Southern Hemisphere. 2 has to be LGBTQ plus, meaning like LGBTQ made and or stories about
Characters,
actual
stories,
characters,
yeah,
not just campy.
themes, yeah.
Yeah. 3, wild card, whatever isolation movie we want. 4, WTF, just a bonkers fucking movie. 5, it's got to be from the 1990s. Or 6, urban scare. All right, here we go. That's a 5, 1990s isolation.
Oh, sure.
So we wrote down a few, and we've also got we wrote down a few, and we've also got a Letterboxd account, Random Horror 9, over on Letterboxd. And if you check out our lists on our account on Letterboxd, you can see all of the potential matchups for that week's recording, and you can kind of help us in the comments by
Add
adding
your
to
own.
them. So if you had seen Isolation 1990s, you could have contributed to some of these things. So follow us on Letterboxd is what I'm saying. Cecil, what did we put on our list of Isolation 1990s?
We've got a heavy hitter coming off the bat up here first, which is Misery.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely 90s, absolutely. And it's also like kind of one of the few prestige horror films in that like Kathy Bates won an Oscar for a horror film, which is another Stephen King, if we want to do back-to-back Stephen Kings here.
Sure, yeah. And also another horror movie classic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. We also have another one that is kind of near and dear to my heart, which I think is kind of a campy. People are like realizing that this horror movie's place in the zeitgeist of horror films is actually a little bit more important than people gave it when it first came out, which is Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
Okay.
This is a great one. It's I don't want to spoil anything, but it's campy. Tales from the Crypt. It's very 90s, lots of practical effects. It's about a people. Oh, I can't. How do I describe this movie? About Billy Zane is a very terrible supernatural entity that corners a bunch of people in an out of the way town, and you'll
Okay.
have to see more to find out.
I like a Billy Zane.
Oh, love the Billy Zane. Jada Pinkett is in it as well. I
A
think it's Jada
great.
Pinkett. Yeah.
Yes.
And let's see. This is an interesting one that I have not seen, but I put it on here because I thought it might be applicable. Just one wanted to throw it out there, which is Eve's Bayou.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is, I think, maybe more drama with supernatural elements, but it's 1997. Summer heats up in rural Louisiana beside Eve's Bayou in 1960s as the Batiste family tries to survive the secrets they've kept and the betrayals they've endured. Samuel L. Jackson. Um, uh, I mean, this is like, it's a great, great movie. Journey Smollett, Megan Good. This
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen this, but I've heard it is like deals with some supernatural elements that I thought, I don't know, it has the isolation of living out on the land, out on the bayou. What else
Nice.
do we have here? We've got Cube. So going from something a little bit like old to something futuristic.
Yeah.
And the idea behind Cube is that a bunch of people are trapped in sort of a cube labyrinth.
It's like
Definitely
escape room
isolated.
meets Saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they have to kind of work together to escape or
Mm-hmm.
figure out what the fuck is going on. This is one that's really interesting that I've not seen. This is called The Last Broadcast from 1998. Um,
Yes.
a four-man team from the public access program Factor Fiction braved the New Jersey desolate Pine Barrens to determine to deliver a live broadcast on the legendary Jersey Devil, and only one came out alive. So this has kind of given me like Blair Witch vibes,
I th
found footage vibes.
If I'm remembering correctly, this came out a little bit before Blair Witch. It was
Okay,
Blair Witch that really caught everyone's attention.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, this was kind of right before Blair Witch. And
yeah,
so when we talk about the found footage horror movie
yeah.
genre, This is going
Now,
to be
the
part of that.
reviews on this one are less than stellar,
That
but I
might
think
be a
it
reason why
deserves
Blair Witch caught our attention and not this
right.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, but I like having options.
I do too.
And speaking of options that are maybe not like maybe the most appropriate, but are kind of interesting, is Safe,
Hmm.
which is a 1995 Todd Haynes film with Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
And again, it's like not kind of like Eve's Bayou in that it's like, is it a horror film or is it a suspense? Is it a drama? But deals with this movie, Safe, deals with Julianne Moore becomes inexplicably not well.
Yeah.
And it's like watching this sort of upper middle class woman try to figure out what the fuck is wrong with her as she kind of her life unravels.
Yes. All of those sound tremendous. A couple on there that I am really intrigued by, but let's see what people over on Letterboxd had to say. Cronenberg TA Seconds Misery. He also Ganymede's Cup gives us Cape Fear.
Good choice.
Incredible choice. This is going to be the remake of the old Robert Mitchum Cape Fear,
Yep.
starring Juliette Lewis
Yep.
and Robert De
Nick
Niro.
Nolte, Jessica
Yeah.
Lange, Robert Niro. Yeah.
Uh,
And yeah, and absolutely like the last act of Cape Fear is all about the sort of isolation on that fucking houseboat.
yeah. Squin gives us The Langoliers. There's another Stephen King.
Yep.
Passengers wake up alone on an airline. Everyone else, including the pilots, have vanished. Weaponized Toaster wants to third Misery and also give us uh the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead
Yep.
and The People Under the Stairs, the Wes
Oh,
Craven
sure.
picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sort of urban,
It's
which I love the idea of like urban isolation,
yeah,
you know?
it's isolation in the sense of like trapped in a home,
Hmm.
but the home is not isolated. Um, Fifth Hammer gives us Mute Witness. I think this has shown up on Shudder recently. I think I see this advertised on Shudder. Billy is mute, but it hasn't kept her from becoming a successful makeup artist. While in Russia, working on a film directed by her sister's boyfriend, Billy finds herself trapped in the studio one night and is horrified to see a snuff film being made.
This
Um,
sounds horrifying.
this sounds really scary. This is kind of like a green room level of
Yeah, yeah,
scary.
yeah, 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 yeah. I love it.
That sounds really, really intriguing. I don't remember this movie from the mid 90s at all. A lot of these I
You
do
know, I
remember.
think I remember like I remember the title, but I've never seen it and yeah, knew nothing about it. So
Yeah.
would be going in completely blind just with this description.
Katie gives us The Haunting, which is a remake of the original 1963 Haunting. Katie says the original is better, but this one fits the role.
It does, but this one is like laughably. Like everyone's like, okay, this one's pretty bad.
Yeah. Also from 1998, Disturbing Behavior. Could isolation be about being an outsider?
Yeah,
I think we
debatable.
have a
Yeah.
lot of options that kind of fit a little bit better, but we'll see. Um, Night Watch, 1994. This is from Madame Biscuit. Madame Biscuit says Night Watch is about a night watchman in an isolated mortuary. There's also a remake 3 years later from the same director starring Ewan McGregor.
Okay. Okay.
Also, can't go wrong with Stuart Gordon's Castle Freak, 1995. American family inheriting a castle in Italy, only to find they are not as alone as they thought they were.
Uh-oh. Why do people keep inheriting castles in Italy? Mortuaries in Italy, monasteries in Italy. Everybody's got to go to Italy and have spooky things happen.
Man, if I had a castle in Italy for every time I inherited a castle in Italy.
Oh, I'd be in a castle in Italy.
Yep. Um, Another argument from Revolta and Spider for Evangelion. Definitely, I think that there's a place for Evangelion somehow in the show eventually, but it's great. I think the one problem with Evangelion as the series for the show is we
Yeah.
typically do first three episodes, and Neon Genesis Evangelion is so much about the culmination of the whole thing
Oh,
because
gotcha.
those first several episodes feel a little like Voltron-y. Like you're just a little bit like,
Okay.
okay, well, what are we doing? This is fun. This is cool. And by the end, you're like, what the living shit have I just watched?
But you need to watch like all, yeah, you need
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah,
slow
yeah.
build over many
Yeah.
episodes.
So I do highly recommend this series. All right. Wrong. Lanka gives us Cemetery Man
Oh yeah.
1994. Um,
Okay, apparently it's a current. This is one of those that's like sometimes it's around, usually it is not.
yeah, this is Delamorte. Yeah.
Delamore, yeah.
Yeah.
Sexy zombies.
Love that. Letters, BGH gives us Eyes Wide Shut for
Okay.
emotional isolation if you're feeling
Yup.
cheeky.
Yeah,
Always
sure.
feeling cheeky. Mr. Body says Scissors, 1991.
Sharon
Sharon's
Stone. I've never even heard of this.
in a mysterious apartment with a corpse and a mouthy crow.
What?
Wait, I'm sorry. I
Huh?
do
Is
need
this a
to.
real movie? Mr.
Um,
Body, did you make this up?
Scissors, 1991. It is available for rental on Amazon. It does star Sharon Stone, directed by Frank DeFelida. A woman trying to recover from a sexual attack is locked in a posh apartment with a corpse of the very man she's been dreaming would murder her. She tries to hang on to reality when objects around her seem to come to life.
Yikes.
I see no user ratings for this on Just Watch.
No one
Maybe
has ever seen this
because
movie.
no one has ever seen this film. Um, wow, God bless you for that one.
That's a deep dive. Thank you for
Thank
that
you,
one.
Mr. Body. What else do we have on this list, Cecil?
Dirtbag Shithead recommends Strays from 91. A troubled family move to an isolated house and they find and adopt a couple of cats. But those are not
Oh,
the only occupants.
okay. This is
Maybe,
different from the Talking Animals comedy Strays that just came out a couple years ago, I think is what that
sure,
was called.
yes,
Yeah,
and different from the musical Cats.
great.
And we've
Well,
got let's see, Fairy Godmother, Second Cemetery Man, and Andrew recommends Alien 3, which we've actually watched for this show, Andrew.
and Andrew, please never make me watch that movie again.
Come on, that
Oh no,
movie
you
was
know what? We did not watch Alien 3 for
what?
this show. We
Yeah, we
watched
did.
Alien 4
Was it
Resurrection.
4?
But the thing was, I think we both went back and watched the older Alien movies just
Now hold
because,
on.
yeah, because we, right, did we not?
Oh, you're
No, did we do Alien Cube for the show? I get so confused on which aliens we did.
I'm pretty sure we
We
watched
did do
Alien 3.
Alien 3, right? Why do I
No,
not remember?
maybe we didn't. No, we didn't.
No,
Because
I just spent a good
This
chunk
is the
complaining
David
about.
Fincher
Yeah.
one in which they're in a maximum security prison. We did watch Alien Resurrection, which was the kind of the Children of a Lost City director.
Yes.
Okay, so Alien 3. Alien 3 is on the menu, man.
Oh man.
Thank you for
Oh.
that. And yeah, absolutely. David Fincher, Ripley lands on a prison planet with a friend, smiley face.
Yeah, Alien Cubed, I think is what Johnny I think is what Johnny called it on our show one time.
Yeah.
Um okay, so we've got a quite a list of movies to choose from in terms of like
Yeah.
when we ask the question, what type of movie do we want to see? We have some good ones to pick from. What type of movie do you want to see? We've got Misery. We've also got Langoliers, so we've got a couple of Stephen Kings if we wanted to stick that way.
Sure.
We've got some smarty pants movies, like more
Yeah.
drama, like Eve's
Yeah.
Bayou and Safe.
Yeah.
Even Eyes Wide Shut, I think was a really interesting one.
Hmm.
Cube and Last Broadcast are a little bit more 90s. I'm really intrigued by Mute Witness. Sounds truly terrifying.
I know this the thing is like everybody thinks 90s horror isolation. Misery comes to mind.
Yes,
It
that's
seems
number
like
one. Yeah.
the obvious choice. So do we continue down the Stephen King path and like really deep dive into the Stephen King territory? I mean, the 90s were good for kind of all right for Stephen King. Or do
Yeah.
we go in like kind of a twisty direction? I mean, there's also Cemetery Man, which is like, watch it now
Oh,
because it will
sure.
probably disappear into the ether again.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's currently on Shutter. It's Delamorte Delamore. Delamorte Delamore. Pronounce
And
that.
I mean, listen, there's nothing more delicious than 1990s uh Rupert Everett. Is Rupert Everett? Shit. Yeah.
I th yeah, yeah, yeah. Rupert Everett is in this.
Yeah.
And this is also like a Michel Suave
Like
movie.
this movie is like got a bit of a reputation.
Hmm.
Like it's I don't know. So that's so tough, Jeffrey.
It's so interesting. I always love to play the hits,
Yeah.
but I will say we just came off of Stephen
I
King,
know we just watched such a
iconic Stephen
Stephen
King.
King.
I do like to mix it up some.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of leaning toward Cemetery Man is one that I'm really intrigued by because it definitely feels I always love my Italian horror movies and to
Yeah.
like jump into the 90s for Italian horror
Yeah.
and Mute
It's a
Witness
little
does seem
unusual.
like the scariest on this list. Like
It
Mute
really
Witness
does. Yeah.
seems like one that is going to be it's gonna kind of fuck you up for an hour and 40 minutes.
So it also seems like a much more like more little more minimal, like
Yes.
minimal psychological horror versus like do you want to go minimalist or maximalist? Because I have
Right.
seen Cemetery Man and it is the very most to say the very least.
Have you seen Mute Witness?
I've not. Like I recognize the video box, like I recognize the cover for it.
Yeah, with the lips sewn shut into the word
Hmm.
mute, spelling the word mute.
You know what?
I
I think honestly, I love Cemetery Man, but it's isolation. I think we're going to get more isolation out of Mute Witness, though.
Yeah, it's all the whole idea of like being in
Trapped in a
trapped in
studio.
Russia too,
Yeah.
like is even scarier because I'm coming off of like the Brittany Griner story, right? Like just the notion of like somebody being detained in a foreign
Yeah.
country,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
like Russia. Um,
I think we're
yeah,
going to go against the grain and watch Mute Witness.
I think we should. I hate passing up on Misery because I love
I
that movie.
know, man.
Oh, oh, but I do like the idea of seeing a really scary movie, and maybe
Yeah.
it won't be, maybe, but it's well reviewed.
Yeah.
And this is a suggestion from Fifth Hammerer, which I'm not going to be able to give you an example, but I know we've taken their recommendations before, and I'm very happy to. Fifth Hammerer is a name that I see that I'm like, I trust this name. So, how's that for a relationship? Um,
Let's step
okay,
out on a limb.
let's
See a
do
movie
it.
that you and I have never seen that maybe is like a little outside the box of what you'd think for 1990s isolation.
And it's also on Shutter. So let's hopefully the 90s come through for us. I think the underrated horror decade. Let's see if it truly is that. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. Thank you, Fifth Hammer, for the suggestion. If you have thoughts on Christine or ideas for other movies that would have been good isolation horrors from 1990, let us know, or the 1990s. Let us know on Instagram at Random Horror 9 or on Patreon, where we have public discussion threads for each episode, and you do not need to be a paying member to participate and watch Mute Witness. It should be on Shutter right now. Watch that with us this week and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no greasers, shitting on your dashboard, or nothing. Boo.
Ooh.